You're listening to Sit, Talk, and Listen podcast with your hosts, Payroll Rob and Xavier Bauer.
Hello. It is us. It's Payroll Rob here with Xavier Bauer. Sit, Talk, Listen. We're back. It is October 29th, 2024. Xavier, we're here. It has probably been, almost 2 weeks or so since our last episode. Lots going on. Busy time of year. The fall. Busy time of year. October 29th. It has been
1 week since you looked at me.
That's true. Shouts out to the Bare Naked Ladies. We got Halloween right around the corner.
Good holiday. It's been great weather.
Yeah, I tell you what, today's like 80-something degrees here in St. Louis. A little too hot. But, there's some rain going to be moving in. They said high of 65 degrees coming on Halloween. So looking forward to that. That should be pretty nice.
Dude, Saturday night was a perfect weather. Ethan, his birthday party,
like a perfect
had a
night.
Bonfire out there.
Yeah.
Brennan made white chili and red chili. Both were fires. Oh, my gosh. It was awesome. Besides the Blues losing, which we had on the radio outside. Yeah. But listening to the Blues game around a fire, eating chili,
Good vibes.
God, the vibes were high. I know my vibes have been a little lower today. We've talked about that. But, that is... You live for that. You live for days like that, dude.
Those are the good times. We had similar happenings over the weekend. We had a little fire action ourselves on Sunday evening. Saturday, my stepson Adrian, 6th grader, brought 2 of his friends over, and they had a little sleepover action. So we'll let it begin. It's like it feels full circle almost for me.
Bob went full get off your lawn mode.
Not full get off the lawn mode, but when you got, kids sneaking back up into the kitchen at 1 a.m. looking for their third helping of sodas, I'm like, hey, it's probably time to cut the soda shit out, kids. Let's be honest.
My dad's going to listen to this and just...
I know, that's what I'm saying.
He's going to laugh.
It's full circle here, considering I'm sure there was a lot that we did during sleepovers.
I feel like my dad would not have stopped us if we were opening the fridge at 1 in the morning, getting Sprites. I don't know if he would have questioned us.
That's fair.
He more cared if he had to work in the morning.
Remember my background. Remember my growing ups.
No, my dad would be mad if you came home and bashed all the stuff that he was intending to take to work or enjoy himself. Who ate all the fucking Nutter Butters?
Yeah.
Or Nutty Buddies. Nutty Buddies?
I don't know what they're called. I just know what they look like.
He used to bash those things in my house.
Hey, easy. Yeah. Well, that's facts.
But I feel like he didn't give too much of shit about...
Yeah. No, that's what I'm saying.
But go ahead and tell the story like you told me.
Oh, I did. Okay. All the way. It's like they came up. They got the sodas. One of the kids, he got sodas for everybody. It was 12 or 12:30, probably the first time he got. Well, this is after they had sodas earlier, so this is after bedtime, whatever. He's
Sprite, so caffeine free.
Still drinking all the sodas. So, wait. First off. We're going to have a revelation here.
What?
Sprite's caffeine free?
Yes.
Classic.
Does that
make me view it differently? Potentially. But also...
You're just now learning at 32 that Sprite...
I don't drink Sprite. I don't give a shit about
Sprite and root beer are both notoriously caffeine-free drinks.
Well, that's great.
No, I get it, though. There is still sugar in them.
Yeah. That's what I was concerned about.
Yeah.
I don't know. Just, they've pounded away 8 of these 12 sodas within a 4-hour period. So I was like, let's just cool it on the sodas when it got to be 1 o'clock in the morning. And these are 11-year-old kids. So let's not go through a whole 12-pack in 5 hours.
What I think is so funny, though, is compared to how we behaved at 11 years old.
Look, I'm trying to hold these kids to higher expectations than what I did as a kid.
I mean, that's not hard to do.
Exactly.
You got caught driving your Geo Storm before you're even 16.
That's true. I had my permit, though. I knew, whatever. We were
now
driving.
imagine if Adrian did that.
We'd have a talking to.
You'd be pissed.
I wouldn't be pissed. Look, here's the thing too, is the way that I view things is also different than the way that his mother views things. So I have to keep in mind what her feelings would be.
You can speak openly. She doesn't listen.
What? Don't put that on her.
She doesn't.
She'll listen sometimes.
No, I was just saying for you, like, you don't have to,
There's no hiding things. I'm just saying, yeah, we have different reactions to things, but when it comes to anything that Adrian's doing, I have to consider her feelings ahead of my own feelings when it comes to, how to approach it. That's all. Because there are times when it's like, obviously, I'm overreacting. Like, maybe should have just let him go ahead and bash the sodas at midnight, 1 o'clock in the morning, whatever. Who cares?
Well, but I don't know. I'm not a parent. But I mean, I see what you're saying. Like, you can't really say, well, I would have done this as a kid. So, because there's several times where Brendan will be on the phone with me just telling me whatever tomfoolery. Mm-hmm. I think Ethan, maybe somewhere in the middle of how bad as we were as kids, or mischievous, and Adrian.
Yeah.
And I laugh every time. Brendan doesn't find it as funny. But but I laugh, but at the same time, like, I would tell, like, if I was talking to Ethan, I'd be like, yeah, like, don't do as I did. Like,
yeah,
you see where they got me.
Do as I say, not as I do. Trust me, I mean, knowing my old man and the way he was as a kid, definitely different than how he acted towards us and expected us to be. So it's like, well, it's just the circle of life. You have higher expectations, and usually it's because it's rooted in something that we've learned along the way, or like we've experienced what happens if you do fuck around and find out. So it's like you're just trying to save kids from having to go through that.
But do you think there's an element where, like, kids have to do bad shit
themselves?
They
have to push the boundaries,
or they'll be
to
like
know
a square.
what the boundaries really are, like to really fully understand why there are those boundaries. You gotta test them a little bit.
You gotta let kids be kids.
Yeah, I agree, but that doesn't mean that you can't. You gotta hold them to standards, and you gotta have teachable moments. Know that they can learn from things, and not just let it slide. Once if you just say kids will be kids, and you let everything slide, then that's when they get reckless, and then they end up murdering themselves or others, purposely or accidentally.
Yeah, no, I do enjoy being the bystander and hearing said stories that don't affect me
directly. Yeah,
yeah.
It's wild. It's like I said, it's like a full circle kind of moment, and you're like, yeah, all right, well, this is probably what I deserve from how I was as a kid. Now I get to see these kids doing the same things, trying to, whatever, not be mischievous. I mean, the level of mischief I'm talking about with these kids that were spending the night is very minimal. But they were up all night and up early. I'm trying to sleep. It's like 6 a.m. I'm like, why are these kids making noise at 6 a.m.? What in the world is happening? I said, I guess this is fucking payback from the universe, from all the times I woke any of our parents' friends up or whatever, from any of that kind of tomfoolery. It's like, these kids get to go home and sleep all day Sunday. I got to clean the goddamn house. I need to sleep.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I get it. I'm going to share one of the stories. I don't think Brendan will mind, that I thought was funny because I could just see myself doing some shit like this as a kid. Like, it was like a few months back. Ethan had broke his cell phone, and Brendan bought him a new one. He then proceeded to break that within like 2 weeks. Dang. So Brendan's like, we're not going to keep doing this.
Yeah.
So he just didn't have a phone for a while. And I'm pretty sure that's the facts. And I guess one day, Ethan took his stepbrother Elijah's phone, but they're all on this Life 360 app.
Yeah.
So Brendan noticed that Elijah's location was turned off of his phone, and it's because they go to two different schools.
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure.
So Ethan was trying to skirt the system.
And it's just like hearing the answers, like when Brendan's questioning Ethan, it just sounds like stuff that we'd be saying, like thinking we could talk our way out of all this stuff.
Yeah,
like not realizing, just like you said, your dad and my parents and now Brendan, like we're not stupid. We've been on the opposite end of this, so it's just it's so funny to me, like seeing these things come full circle,
big time,
and hearing it like hearing the same things regurgitated back to us as we heard as kids. Like, you think I'm stupid? Do you think I haven't been 12 years old before? Like, it's just
Absolutely.
like, I do love that, like, circle of life aspect of it. But at the same time, like, during these things, it's like, yeah, I know you can't just allow kids to be doing whatever the hell they want and stuff. Yeah. But it's funny because I'm like, funny. They're kids.
It is funny. It's like all the same thoughts go through my head as was probably from my dad. Like, man, why are kids just always loud?
Is there anything that could get out there now, like, as mischievous that you'd be like, if I aired it right now, as far as, like, not like deep dark secrets, but like shit, like we dumb stuff as kids that you'd be like, oh gosh, like, or would you be like, yeah,
I don't think
there's one thing in particular that I have in mind.
Oh.
And it's that side glass door.
Oh, about sneaking. Oh, well, sometimes vandalism happens.
Bob,
we're past the statute of limitations.
Yeah, that's how. Do you get what I'm getting at?
Yeah,
it was to the side of the gym.
Yeah.
Bob broke this glass door.
It was like plexiglass.
And I remember it. I mean, you broke it.
It was broke. It got broke.
And remember all the questioning about, like, who did this? Who could have done this?
I don't remember any of that. I don't remember a single question about it. Do you?
I just want to know if my parents remember that. And if so, that was Bob.
Jesus.
But I was there.
Just spell it out for him.
I was there.
That's all right.
It's not like I stopped
It's not like I really care. I just feel like,
Did you do it on purpose, though? I can't remember that.
The first shot was not on purpose, and then when I saw that the door was like loosey-goosey, I said, well, this seems easy enough. So gave it just one more kind of like horse shot.
Oh, like a horse kick?
Yeah, and then it just like popped. It was like plexiglass. It just popped out of its frame of the door. It wasn't like
I don't remember. I remember breaking glass.
No, there was some metal. The metal frame piece of the door came off and it hit the ground and it sounded loud, right? Like, because it's metal hitting the ground.
I can remember that like it was yesterday, dude.
Yeah, I mean, I don't care.
Well, obviously not all the details, but I remember like where that door was and like the whole scenery. Like there's that platform kind of on the porch and shit.
I just hope it doesn't change people's perception of me. Still the same person I always have been.
One time, Brendan and I, when we were like 8. They do those like little bakeries inside the Holy Family gym.
A little bakeries.
Bake sales.
Oh, a little bake sale action, sure. Yeah.
And Brendan and I stole a couple of brownies off one of the tables, and his mom found out.
Brendan's?
Yes, dude, and she flipped shit. And
then she made
us,
out of you?
Yeah, she made us go back up there and tell them what we did.
Dang.
Gosh, like when you're 8 years old, like facing that kind of humiliation.
That'll leave a mark.
Oh my goodness, dude.
Well, hey, sometimes you gotta own up to what you did.
Yeah, I don't know though. I don't know if that kind of. I don't know. It's fun, kind of ironic from two people that don't actually have any biological kids. You're pretty much parent now, full time, but me not at all. But I still think it's funny, even qualified or not, to just sit here and talk about parenting and
the happenings,
the trials and tribulations of it.
Well, it's just interesting. You see the shift in dynamics from even when we were kids to how kids are now, right? You see a huge shift in dynamics. But I do think you start to see everything goes in circles, and so I think that there's people that are realizing there was a big gap of time where the parents were maybe letting kids get away with too much, and I think it's reverting a little bit in certain areas. I think there are parents that are putting their foot down to certain, bad attitude traits and things like that these kids are developed.
Well, everybody wants to be best friends with their kid. They don't want them to be mad.
Yeah, I guess.
I think that's where it's stemming from.
Yeah, that could be. I think that happens a lot, too, by the time the kid becomes like a teenager and a young adult is really where you see that start to play out. Like parents want their kid to just like them at that age instead of realizing that the kid's a teenager and they need to rebel against their parents. So, like, the kid rebelling when they're a teenager isn't them, like, not liking you or whatever.
I hate you!
Yeah, it's just like they're just mad because you're the one who's got to put down the rules and regulations. So, don't give in to that, parents. Don't give in to those teenage, young adult years where your kids hate you. Well, they tell you they hate you, but if you give them some tough love during those times, they're going to love you for it forever.
Again, yeah, we are really just two very qualified people to be giving this advice to.
You know what? I read my Dr. Lipschitz or whatever. No.
Is that Rugrats?
Rugrats. Shouts out.
Look at that.
Yeah, you like that?
Did you like that I knew the reference?
Yeah. Yeah. I figure most people of our demographic should know that reference.
I don't know. People have been on pins and needles.
In other news,
lots is happening.
There's a new survey out. It says that in 2020, it was reported that 3% of young adults said that they got their news from TikTok. What do you think that percentage is in 2024?
30.
Xavier's almost right. It's 17%. So it goes from 3% to 17% in 4 years of young adults that say they get their news regularly from TikTok.
I think it's a double-edged sword. As not a TikTok user, but I just can I give my feedback on this information?
Yeah, that's why I brought it to the table.
Okay, so I do think that TikTok, it's not like circulated. It's not like funded by any specific party, which is good. So you're getting, but to an extent, like
no
not
party within our country.
MSNBC, Fox News, like all that stuff. But you're still just getting back the same stuff. Like it's an algorithm, so you're just seeing the same things that you already agree with. So it's just going to further feed into whatever preconceived notions you already have. Mm-hmm. But like you're doing that as an adult anyway. If you're going to watch Republican news or Democratic news, you're going to go to those certain channels. So I don't think there's really any unbiased journalism anymore, or certainly not nearly as much as it used to be.
Yeah.
I think though overall,
everybody's got to spin to a story.
I'm pro getting your news from TikTok opposed to, I think you'll see things that they won't be reporting on either Fox or CNN.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with that aspect of it. But what do you think about all the times where there's just not correct information that people are seeing on TikTok that gets shared as factual? I mean, just like anywhere, but it's like people, I don't know. I won't say they buy into TikTok more than other places, but it's just as easy, if not easier, to share something around there as facts. It's all
like it's all just together, and it's kind of what I was venting to you about before we even recorded this. It's I challenge people. I'd like to challenge you to look up things that oppose your view and see if it changes your mind at all. And if it doesn't, then maybe you still have that same perspective, but just try to understand it's probably a gray area. If two people feel so strongly about opposite things, it's probably a gray area. Now, I don't want to get too far off the question here. With TikTok, though, it's really catered to find things that you've already shown interest in, whether it be how long you stay on a video and shit. From my understanding, that's what they're tracking. And
big time.
So
the whole point of any app is to keep you engaged in that app.
Yeah.
And so TikTok's algorithms are very good at knowing what they need to show somebody to keep them engaged.
I don't know if it's any different than Facebook, and you're going to be joining groups with people that have similar interests as you. So, like, really all...
I mean, the algorithms end up being similar in the end, but they're different because the TikTok algorithm must appear, is better for attracting and keeping that younger demographic.
Now, what I do like is guys like Theo Von or... maybe even Joe Rogan, who he just had Trump on, but he wants to get Kamala on. I hope that she does, because that is a huge platform that gets everybody, if you go in with an open mind, which I cynically think that won't happen, but Theo Von he tries to find these big world problems and have two of the opposing views on it get on there and articulate their thoughts far better, so you can try to understand both sides.
Yeah.
And that's what I like.
That's
again,
what it should
goes back
be,
to
but
YouTube. I think is like and platforms like that. I think is one of the last things that you can try to get unbiased thing. But
but even then, you're under a corporate wing, of Google and their interests.
Yeah, but I mean, if you reach a platform like Theo Von and Joe Rogan, it's kind of hard to censor them. Like they'll just come out and say like, "Hey, this was censored," and that would cause even more backlash. Like, I mean, they have millions of followers, and it's a tough look for Google if they're trying to keep up this charade, as a lot of people do. to kind of make it seem like we're not trying to do anything. I mean, it's all bullshit. I cannot explain how much I'm exhausted every election year just by both sides. And I want you to know, if you've tried to tell me to vote either way, you've done nothing but make me less and less likely to support your cause. That goes for any commercial. That's both sides. Anybody. If you come preaching to me, I'm in automatic shutdown mode.
Yeah, I mean, it's what
Patrick Surtain II.
I've been holding on to it for a lot of years at this point. That I'm sick of political parties in general. Everybody shouldn't be allowed to even be affiliated with a party. Everybody, if you're going to run for office, you have to run as an independent. Oh, that means people need to listen to what you're saying and then make a decision on who they're voting for, instead of just assuming you stand for what they believe in because you have some color behind your name.
Again, cynical here, but you'd have to ban lobbyists and have any kind of, these people can run and even if they go into it for the right reasons and say they want to do this and this and this, but to get to the masses, to have your thoughts heard by the masses, you're going to need somebody backing you to have the kind of money and power to get that out there. Mm-hmm. And now you're indebted to these lobbyists and people paying you. So I just think the way the world works, even if you ban lobbyists, it's still going to be human nature.
That's how the world works.
The rich and powerful get more rich and powerful. And
sure.
Yeah. I mean, Bo Burnham, that is a really accurate
depiction on how the world works. That's all right. We'll reel it back in. Maybe. Go back to that. It says Instagram engagement is way higher than Facebook engagement. So maybe that's, good things.
I don't know why that's good things.
Because that means you got the youngs on Instagram are more engaged than the olds on Facebook.
I think that's bad things.
Hell, I don't know. I'm reaching here, buddy. I'm trying to pull us out of the doldrums of our shitty election cycle.
The Instagram, I tend to believe, leans a little more left. Facebook leans a little more right, just based off the average user and their thoughts and beliefs. I don't know what's any more different. Yeah. From your thoughts and what I'm gathering from you, my read would be that since you lean a little more left, that's why you like the youngs and Instagram being more used than Facebook, because...
You're making a lot of assumptions here.
Well, then what other assumption can I get from that?
Stating that that's a thing.
Well, you said it tends to be good.
I don't know that it tends to be good.
You said that.
And then I said I was reaching. I'm just looking for a little conversation piece here. Well, I'm in pretty hard into the libertarian camp there, friend.
Yeah, I would say me too, maybe. I don't know.
But again, I would rather everybody do away with all political parties, and then we can all have to vote on everybody's an independent.
I think this all circles back to our first episode of Groupthink, and these times are a constant reminder of that. So I just beg you to think for yourself.
Begging you.
Yeah.
To think for yourself.
That's all you can do.
It's true.
But I don't think that. I think people have their minds made up, really, to be honest with you.
That's the thing that gets me the most. It's like you see all this push at the end with all these commercials and this, that, the other thing. It's like, how many... are you changing minds? No. Well, they're spending billions of dollars on advertising to make the slightest of differences, to make maybe even no difference. It's insane.
Yeah, I heard today that Google is...
election years are good for business for everybody, Advertising gets sold for big radio and TV companies and newspapers and websites, and everybody gets all this money shifting around throughout election years. So the more that people are, quote-unquote, engaged in politics, the more money can be made for all these fucking corporations.
It's all bullshit.
Yeah, well, I don't think it's a big secret, but I think that people like to act like it's a secret.
I mean, people believe the bullshit. That's why they do it.
It's easier to believe
These
the bullshit.
company owners are far smarter than you and I, and if they're deciding to spend millions of dollars on this, it's because there's some proven method that it works.
Yeah,
or
it's going to benefit them. They know.
And, you know, the ego's involved. We can't let them take shots at us and not fire a shot back. Blah, 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 blah.
Shots fired.
Fire's ass.
We watched the McMahon doc. Jay and I sat. We finished it finally. We got through it all. You know, I was always wrestling adjacent growing up, but that definitely brought back a lot of nostalgia. And as far as like, oh, wow, I remember these periods of, you know, WWE and then the WCW and the New World Order, all that action.
New World Order.
I was always totally like just on the outside, kind of catching bits and pieces of that. You know, you were into the wrestling, and some of our other friends were into the wrestling, so I knew things in proxy just from hanging out with you guys. But you know, I didn't realize. I don't know.
You missed out on
so
a cool childhood.
I guess it's so interesting to me. Like I am appreciation of the performance of it all, right? Like there's an art form to wrestling, there's an athleticism obviously to wrestling, but like the infatuation and then the buy-in that people get with the storylines is where it's a disconnect for me a little bit.
Have you ever watched any TV show?
Yeah,
do you buy into the storylines?
No,
you don't buy in.
Enjoy it.
I'm sorry for how you've.
I enjoy a storyline, but it doesn't affect me after the show's over.
Well, that's because you've never enjoyed a show fully the way you should.
I just don't feel. Am I soulless?
There's some sociopathic tendencies there.
So
I don't get why people
only
enjoy
people
things.
that liked wrestling have.
I'm just saying that you grew up in the golden era of wrestling, and you missed great potential to watch the not even arguably, but the widely accepted best era of wrestling ever. And if you're not down with that, I got 2 words for you.
What are they?
Suck it!
Yeah. See, that's what I remember. A lot of suck it signs. A lot of that action going around. Oh, my
gosh. It was the best, dude. It was so good that as an adult, I still will, every year, watch countless videos of that era.
Yeah.
And you're not going to bring my happiness down, brother.
I'm not trying to bring the happiness down. It's just I wonder how much of an effect that had on us as a society today.
Not much.
You don't think? Because, like, you know, the parents of the 90s were the ones who were, like, the OG kids of wrestling. They were the kids of wrestling in the 70s and 80s when wrestling was first kind of getting going. And then kids of the Hulkmania. And then they had their kids, and they started bringing them to wrestling in the late 90s with all the big golden era stars.
Golden era.
You just said. You said that was the, you know.
Attitude era.
Well, okay, yeah, that's the name, what they called it. But I'm saying golden era, best era. You know, that's what you were saying, is that the late 90s was the best era of wrestling, right? Didn't you just say that?
Late 90s, early 2000s. It was known as
like
the
Stone
Attitude
Cold
era.
and The Rock, all that action. So I'm saying is those wrestling fans were like the third generation of wrestling fans. And that's when the lines really started to get blurred of what's real and what's these, you know, fabricated storylines. And I think that's
life, brother.
It's become more of life.
No.
In the last 50, 60 years with business and everything. In wrestling, maybe it is just you know, a what do you call it? An extension of what culture and society are doing.
I would say more people that didn't watch wrestling and grow up with wrestling are these people that walk around with this, like they have a stick up their ass, like they're so righteous and this and that. And
is that me right now?
No, I'm just saying righteous? In general. Take it like I'm not like if you're taking it that way, like. Maybe. What
do you mean? Does everybody who doesn't like wrestling? I
don't think that there's anything like there. I would strongly disagree with watching wrestling as a child had any impact on my future in a negative light. I think that
I'm not meaning across the board. I'm asking that question.
I'm saying no.
You don't think at all. You don't think that there's a lot of people that are fanatically bought into it that also will fanatically buy into other things?
Most wrestling fanatics I know are good people, and
I'm not saying that either.
Yeah, so if anything, I think it's had a positive impact. I don't think you're watching it and saying like, "Oh, this is how you should treat women," or this and that. I think a negative outside. It's the same thing I hear from like outsiders that like dislike UFC. I mean, it's fighting. That's an art in itself. It's a sport. And I think there's a negative connotation that surrounds the UFC, maybe largely based off the demographic of fan base they have, but it's absolutely false. And I think the same thing with like wrestling. I grew up loving wrestling, as you know, so maybe it's biased, but I think I could take a step back, and the people I know that grew up watching wrestling, this isn't a shot at you, you're going to take it that way, but the people I knew that grew up watching wrestling and didn't, I mean, I think there's a difference amongst them. There's a... Yeah, like like people, you can be not cool and have watched wrestling, but I just think that, you know, I don't know, I don't really know what you're getting at. Wrestling is fucking awesome.
I guess the question I'm asking is, did it make people more malleable to just believe the drama that's presented to them? I mean, you know, it's the same way with Maury or any of those daytime TV shows.
I don't know. Do I seem more malleable? Maybe I am. But I would say that I grew up about as into wrestling as you can be. And I partake in zero social media drama, zero political drama, anything like that.
Yeah, and I get that. I do. I don't know, just a thought that I had while watching the Vince McMahon doc. That's all. Is how much of an influence did that sport have on modern culture?
I think that you're off on your perspective here, man. Just because you didn't watch wrestling, I think you have a different perspective of it.
Maybe.
I think you've maybe unconscious, subconsciously formed these opinions of who you think the average wrestling fan is.
Maybe so. I don't know. I see a lot of people in these arenas cheering for some crazy things.
It's entertainment.
Well,
you go to a Blues game and you get crazy and rowdy for that. That's all made up. I mean, it's just a made-up sport, made-up championship, made-up rules, regulations. At the end of the day,
but it's not decided ahead of time.
No, but you'll get there and get rowdy, and these fights will break out, and it makes you hyped up. It's entertainment. You don't leave the arena and just think you can go pick a fight with somebody without any repercussions except for sitting in a box for 5 minutes.
Right. I agree, but there was a lot of like talking down to and degrading of people in WWE that dudes were like, yeah, hell yeah, that's how you handle that situation. And
see, look at the voice you just used for that.
Yeah.
It is.
Well, I mean,
I
have some bias, but it's based in some reality.
I mean, you grew up watching South Park.
Okay.
Wouldn't you? I mean, there's a lot of people that watch wrestling and South Park. Now, South Park has a lot of intelligent humor involved in it.
But you know that it's humor.
But a lot of people back then were saying
humor.
South Park is just
trash TV.
Yeah, it's childish, it's this and that, and they had these same preconceived notions, but since you watch South Park, you wouldn't probably have those same preconceived notions, I'd imagine. But people were saying the same thing about South Park as you are about wrestling. And
yeah, maybe, but at the same time, you didn't have a South Park episode where it was like he's having a woman apologize by acting like a dog and getting around the ground and barking, and everybody cheering him on to do that. Like that.
I don't remember cheering back then. I know some people did, but
the stadium was going nuts. Half the time he said, "That's when we knew we had something." I get it. I have a skewed perspective by watching a documentary. I'm just saying these things happen, and it's like people really liked it at that time.
And people still would like that stuff now. I mean,
and there's a lot of people
millions of dollars
that love talking shit on their women and thinking that the right way to do it is talk shit on their chicks. Yeah.
And they did before wrestling.
I agree, but it was reinforced and said that this is the good way to act because this is how we like to portray our stars.
They were villains in the show. Vince McMahon was a villain being painted as a villain that people hated.
I get it. I do. I know he was.
Like, all those acts that Vince McMahon was doing, he was a known heel. And for all you squares out there, that means that he was a villain. You were supposed to hate the acts that he was doing.
I know.
And the baby faces in the show quote unquote good guys, they were the ones sticking up for that. So, I mean, yes, in the time of the Attitude Era, everything was a blurred line. And what people were most ramped up about was Stone Cold. And why he became the biggest superstar was because he was the fuck you to the boss. He was the guy that nobody had seen before, just coming in and flicking off his boss and drinking beers. They appealed, yes, to a time of masses of people that right now could still relate. People hate going to jobs, they hate answering to the asshole boss that thinks he knows everything. So it's just kind of cool. People could rally behind.
The 90s was definitely a screw the man era, which I'm behind. I don't know why we got away from that.
It doesn't sound like you are. It sounds like you're questioning it. It sounds
there's
like
a difference between screw the man and let's
corporate.
What? Because I'm saying let's not degrade women on TV and cheer for it.
I think that you were being that was misrepresented in the documentary about the whole skew of things.
I don't know. I don't know. I feel like the Venn diagram of some of the wrestling fan and some of the Hoosier redneckery and some of the type of people that like to degrade women there's the crossover a little bit.
I can tell you that was even Trish Stratus, who was the person you're representing in that, knew, and she was even quoted in the documentary, and she was saying I knew, yes, this was despicable at the time. It's not like anybody knew. We just had a different view.
And I'm not trying to say let's go back and vilify the whole WWE now for it. What I was originally saying is how the WWE presented itself had an effect on the fans and maybe effect on society, how it acts in general.
I would have to strongly disagree because
I just think there were so many people that bought that as real and bought that as this is how we should act.
Real were not being, their minds weren't made up by wrestling at the time.
No, but it reinforced things that they thought.
But that can be said anywhere.
Yeah,
Sex sells.
Can.
And it sells anywhere. And if
we allow the lowest common denominator to keep being pushed and
you didn't watch wrestling. That's not really as somebody who watched,
you didn't even go here.
as somebody who watched wrestling religiously back then, I can tell you my memories aren't about that stuff as much as it was Stone Cold, The Rock, Vince McMahon, Undertaker, Kane, Mankind, all these people. And you could ask the average Attitude Era fan, and they're not going to say, oh, man, I loved how much they shit on women, or whatever voice you use. It's just a misrepresentation, and it's being pushed by people like you who didn't watch it. And that's why I said the stick up your ass people who
I'm not
didn't
saying
watch
it's
wrestling.
the majority or even a big chunk of people at all. All I was asking was the question of do you think that it influenced people in real life? And I think that it did in certain areas of society. I mean, those people are already.
If you can give me some references of people that you think watched wrestling who there before wouldn't have treated women like shit beforehand, who watched wrestling and thought it was okay.
I'm saying it was maybe reinforced by wrestling because they were in an environment where it was already happening, and then they see it portrayed on TV and they're like, yeah, well, this is just normal. This is how people act. This is how I should be acting towards my high school girlfriend.
There's no fucking way, dude.
I just don't think you can say that there's no way.
Yeah. To have such a, this happened 20 years ago, if you think it has ripple down effects to now, it's just so off. What about Playboy that's been around way times before that? That has just, what about all these other things? What about all these other, porn and all that stuff that's been around far before the Attitude Era in wrestling?
Yeah.
And we're going to blame wrestling on the way people view women.
No, I think you're making a stretch. Because I'm not saying that that's like a 1, 2, 3. I'm not saying it's X, Y equals Z. I'm saying that it had an influence and that there was,
the person doing this was portrayed as a villain in the show.
Yeah, well, he also kind of
and they
played
cut in the documentary
out
to make people look like they were cheering at the time that was happening. And I can assure you that was not the case. Vince McMahon was hated, and he would not have been cheered for while a girl was barking on her hands and knees. That was not being cheered for. And in the documentary, if you were bought by the way that they were portraying that, Vince McMahon was, and Vince McMahon is a piece of shit. Yes.
There you go.
But he was portraying himself as a villain anyway. Nobody ever liked Vince.
I mean, I get that. I understand that.
So if you're saying is wrestling was trying to pursue or was pushing this narrative, why would people who hated Vince McMahon also see his acts and think that's the way I should treat my girlfriend? But they were actively booing him at arenas. That's what I'm asking.
I don't know. I don't think it was all booze. I think depending on what he was doing is what people were booing or cheering.
I can tell you that's not the case. I mean, yeah, I was young back then, but, my dad, who does listen, he was 28, 29 at the time, and I can assure you that my dad, who loved that era as well, wasn't being like, oh, yeah, Colleen, you piece of shit.
I didn't say that every single person watched it thought it was true and acted on it in life. I'm saying that I think there was influence by it to a percentage of society.
What do you suggest that people should watch instead?
Got me. I'm not saying anything like that. I think the way that wrestling is currently is great, and I think people can watch it and find it entertaining.
Oh, brother.
I'm just saying that at a time it seemed like there was a lot of blurred lines between, what they were portraying as real and what they were not.
And that's fair, but what I'm asking you is, in this time, which I think this is good dialogue, but I'm asking, besides preconceived notions that you have in your head, for examples of people who watched wrestling and then bought into it. And all you're going to say is some Southern accent, some Hoosier hick that you have built in your mind that reinforce that to. You have no examples or proof based off anything except for preconceived notions that you have of these people that watched it. Now, these same people, and I'm assuming in your mind, are the same people that watch NASCAR. Now, are you going to tell me that NASCAR is influencing people to degrade women because the same fans in your head watched wrestling and NASCAR?
No, but I think it's different. Again, NASCAR is not telling these made-up storylines that reinforce people's, feelings and narratives that are negative.
They also told positive ones. That's the point you're missing.
Yeah. I know they did.
You're doing everything you hate, and then you're buying into a documentary one way, preconceived notions that you had already had in your head. And you're not thinking of all the good that wrestling was portraying or all the baby faces and the things that they were fighting at the time. And now it's all made up and stuff. But couldn't you argue, based off your logic, that all the stuff that the baby faces were doing was promoting good things? Yeah, it did get a little blurred there with DX and stuff, and I'll give you that. And we were all cheering for DX, which was supposed to be heels, and they were being vandals and degenerates. That's what DX was for. But I don't know, man.
No, I don't know. I don't think that's what I was really saying. I wasn't saying that, I guess all I was trying to say is that I think that wrestling played a factor in making a blueprint and how to tell a story that's hard to see if it's made up or not. And then that's been bought into by all cultures of America now. Like business and politics, it's all blurred lines, and they figured out the blueprint from WWE on how to get people to not know what's real and what's not real. Is really the point that was trying to get to.
Well, you veered off from that point.
Not exactly, because I was saying,
I asked you if you.
Well, yeah, because Well, let's be honest. What's your average WWE fan? Little country.
No, more kind of nerdy, geek.
Nah.
Yeah.
Not in my experience.
Your experience with that dude's with what you've never been to one wrestling show.
Just the wrestling clips I've seen and the fans that I've heard, and there are fans that I've heard talking.
They go to Canada. It's huge in Canada.
I get it, but there's also
it's preconceived notions.
There's also Hoosiers that live in Canada. I'm not saying that all wrestling fans are Hoosiers. That's not what I'm saying. But I'm saying there are some wrestling fans that are Hoosier.
But you're saying that you have me, who's been around a lot of wrestling fans, but your preconceived notion is more accurate than what I'm trying to tell you from my experience, is what you're saying.
Yeah, maybe, I guess.
I mean, that's crazy. That'd be like me telling you how the average audio engineer is and how they act.
Yeah, you could.
And who would have a better...
And I'd say, where are you basing that off of?
Well, Netflix.
Hearsay.
Yeah, like I ran into an audio engineer last week that was like, hey, man, can you help me get this in? I'm going to go shoot up some heroin in the back real quick, brother. Thanks, man.
You probably did run into that guy. Hope he's doing good.
But that's just basically what you did.
I'm
sticking up for my people.
Is the Venn diagram of Kid Rock fans and wrestling fans is pretty large.
No way. A small percentage of it, yeah. But I'd also say a lot of urban America loved wrestling in that same era.
Yeah, I agree.
Were they listening to Kid Rock?
Maybe. No, they were listening to the ICP.
Maryland Heights is getting to you. Urban kids were listening to ICP?
Yeah. Urban. Yeah. Some of them.
What about Black
not
America
us.
that was watching wrestling, who loved it at the time?
Yeah. They were told to hate people in different countries. They got that one clip of the kid saying that he doesn't want the Iranian character to win, and they said, "Why don't you want him to win?" He said, "Because he's from a different country."
Patriotism. It was being pushed at the time, but it was just a TV show like any other TV show.
Yeah. I'm just saying.
This has written all over that you have a preconceived notion of wrestling, and you watch the documentary, and now you know all the facts.
No, that's not what's happening.
Now, your only point that I can maybe see, but I don't think Vince McMahon gave the blueprint for everybody to blur the lines of what's real and what's not real. I think they've been doing that for a long time.
Yeah, they have been doing it for a long time, but WWE got really good at it.
I'll tell you what got really good at it is integrity and journalism being bought out by corporate America.
That's true, too. Both things can be true.
That's what I think has blurred the lines of what's real and what's not. Vince McMahon is a lot of things, including a scumbag and a piece of shit, but being the puppet master behind the current perspective of American degenerates, I don't know. It's a far stretch for me. But you asked my opinion.
Yeah. And, you take it down to something very specific, which is not what I'm saying. I'm not sitting here saying that he's pulling all these strings and making conscious decisions.
No, but
what I'm saying is they got really good at manipulating people, essentially. Manipulating to believe and buy in and not knowing where the buy-in should start and begin.
I think that's on parents, not Vince McMahon.
Could be. You're right.
You know, the difference between me and maybe, Jim Joe that believed everything is I had parents enforcing what was, this is entertainment. I hope you're entertained by it, but I knew what was, I was taught what to believe and what not to believe to be good. I just, I think like anything else in life, it's situational. Personally, I think to blame wrestling is just it's lazy.
Throwing words like blame. I just asked the question on how influential, do you think that they were? And
I think that it was responsible for a lot of great memories for millions of people in a world where you don't see a lot of people come together and not experiencing any violence, everything. So, that's what I think of it, just like the Blues Stanley Cup run. When I think back at that time, everybody in the city was somewhat harmonious, and a lot of pleasant memories came from it. Now, I get there's differences in the stuff that was being displayed on the TV compared the Blues Cup run to the wrestling, but I'm just saying when I think back at those times, it was a lot of great memories and shared memories with family and friends that we experienced together. yeah, there was some things like they there's a guy named the King, Jerry the King Lawler, who would be like, "Oh, puppies," referring to women's breast on the television. That's just funny, man. It's just like it's just like comedy, dude. You got to know what to separate.
Yeah.
Like, that's how I see it. It's like if you go watch a comedian say all these things and you actually believe what the comedian is saying, like, that's just on you.
Yeah. And I agree with that. And again, I think the whole point, I was just trying to ask the question of how influential, they have become. I'm not necessarily here to vilify them or say it's right, wrong, indifferent. I'm saying I have a feeling that there was more influential on the way that people behave today than maybe we give it credit for. Is all I'm really trying to get to.
We're gonna have to agree to disagree, but this is.
Yeah, I mean, you're right. Yeah. But I'll just say, I'd love, I'm sure there's plenty of statistics out there that'll break down a wrestling demographic, and it'll show that it leans to be more rural and more Caucasian than not.
Nope. Dude, I'm telling you,
I understand
black
that it has.
People loved the Attitude Era just as much as white people.
I get that, but maybe it just matches the demographics in general, because there are more whites in America than other demographics. So maybe, even though it would be more of a white demographic, it's only because that's the demographic of the country. I don't know. That's just my personal experience.
I don't think you could dig it.
No,
sucker.
I can't. I just never was. Never was a wrestling fan.
And here we are in the same spot in life. Weird. Really weird.
Same spot in life. What do you mean?
I watched wrestling, you didn't.
Yeah? What is that? It doesn't make a difference of who we are as people. I didn't say that.
You said it did.
No, I didn't.
You said it influenced people.
I said that the sport was more influential, on society than people think that it maybe could have been. That's all I'm saying.
Okay,
it doesn't mean that we're going to end up in different places of life.
What would have been more beneficial to be watching back then?
I don't know. A lot of entertainment was pretty terrible back. It still is pretty terrible.
Except for the Attitude Era, which was doing better numbies than Monday Night Football at the time.
Yeah, I get it. It was the biggest entertainment there was. I'm not saying it wasn't. But I'm not saying there should be something else. I'm not saying there should have been something else.
That you said it was just rural Caucasian
no,
America.
I said that was probably.
That
I said that was probably the larger demographic of it. Again, I didn't say that was the only demographic. I said that's probably the largest demographic of it, and then I said that's probably just because that's the largest demographic that we have in this country.
Well, I'm just sitting here to say that I'm putting you in a body box in this argument right now.
Maybe so. Wrestling's not for me, and that's okay. And I didn't say that people shouldn't have watched it. I just wanted to acknowledge that I think it's had more of a impact on people's view in society than we care to say. It's not like it's the only thing. Every form of entertainment that's been popular over the last 20, 30, 40, 50 years has had a play and its part on society and how it acts today.
Yeah.
So saying that something that was that popular is, as you've said, and as we know, saying it doesn't have a strong impact on society would be disingenuous.
Vince McMahon come up with the idea of throwing a bunch of dollar bills at naked women, or have strip clubs been around a long time before that?
Long time before that.
People were paying for sex long before that. If we're going to talk about degrading women and treating them as if they're objects, I'd like to say that strip clubs and whorehouses and all this shit has been around a long, long time before. Vince McMahon will be around a long time after it.
And again, I'm then blame and say that it's like they started and pushed these narratives. I'm saying that they reinforced narratives that maybe aren't so positive. And that's all, and I'm just saying they had an influence on society. Not a major one, not any more or less than other things, maybe. Grand Theft Auto had an influence on society. People don't value what it means to be alive.
You really sound like
an
old man. Get off my lawn, dude.
That's fine. I'm just saying, you can see it. You can see that the shift in how people act in society based on what they intake in their entertainment world. I mean, even that's why politics have become entertainment, because it's become people's bread and butter. It's their life. It's all they live for. Whatever their form of entertainment, quote unquote, is. And
there's no politics being pushed in wrestling or Grand Theft Auto. And if you're saying that there's more violence now because Grand Theft Auto is around, I also don't subscribe to that either.
I'm not saying violence. I'm saying, again, you know, I said one thing and you're reducing it down to like me making a grand statement. I'm saying that there's been people that clearly have lost the connection on what it means to be like a living person in a society and have been totally reckless because of whatever it is they've been influenced by. I'm not saying that's the majority. I'm not saying it's even common. I'm just saying it has happened.
I'm gonna be honest right now. I wouldn't be surprised if your next statement is, I heard Timmy smoked a joint. The next thing you know, he's going to be sticking a needle in his arm. Like these are the same thoughts, that patterns, that the things that you're saying are the same people that's, weed is a gateway drug to death. Like,
it has been for people.
Grand Theft Auto is no more damaging than any other video game that these kids are addicted to. Minecraft, Roblox, all this other stuff. That's not being productive at all.
Grand Theft Auto is just an example of all the above, you know, any form of entertainment, I'm saying, that just desensitizes people. It has happened. Society has been influenced and changed based on people's consumption of entertainment. I don't think there's any way to look past that. That's just the facts. So right, wrong, indifferent, that's just what happens. Entertainment influences society, and society influences entertainment.
Yeah, and there's also a time where it was like a faux pas to show an interracial couple on TV.
Yes.
You know,
and the point is,
I'm saying as a society, I think we've advanced more and more as time goes on than have regressed. I feel like you're kind of being a prisoner of the moment, and that's what I mean when I say you're sounding like old man, get off my lawn. You're kind of being selective at what you're picking to be damaging to society when these things have been around for a long time, entertainment, and what's shown to the masses and how it affects people's psyche. I think it's been around a long time before any of these entertainment avenues that you're bringing up.
I agree. It has. What's that have to do with what I'm saying, I guess?
Well, I just think that you're just bringing up...
I'm not saying that, I necessarily think that all the changes in society brought on by entertainment are bad. I'm saying it needs to be acknowledged that, there's shifts in how people think and behave based on, the entertainment that is fed to them.
I would have to think on that longer, because right now in the state, I disagree with it. I think people and how every interaction, how they perceive things, and what they take from things, is how they're going to act and what they believe. That I don't know if the percentage changes based off the form of entertainment they're taking in. Because you could perceive anything in life and perceive it the wrong way and think that is the right way to act, or that's cool, and become a danger to yourself or society. That's just where I stand. And I'm not saying you're wrong. Like I always say, things are black and white, or things aren't black and white. There's usually a gray area. We both have such a strong stance. It's probably somewhere in the middle. I just personally think that from a young age, the way you perceive things, the different things that happen to you in life, usually, ages 6 to 12, how you're perceiving things and things going around, it's kind of shape you and how you view things the rest of your life. I don't know if what actually you're seeing is as important of how you perceive it. There could be kids who grow up with their dad in and out of jail. They could become a product of that, or they might perceive it as, I will never become that, and they become a very law-abiding citizen.
Right. I mean, sure. perception is everything. I agree. I guess I don't see the correlation.
My correlation is you could just as easily make the argument that so many people saw this villain treating this woman like that, and they hated that so much that they're like, "That's not right. I'm not." That's degrading. That's a human being just like me. I hate Vince McMahon. He's the one doing this. I don't want to be anything like that. Just as much as somebody went into it already kind of having a thought of like, that's how they thought of women. So yes, in that case, that was reinforced for them. But it could have also had the opposite effect.
Yeah. And that's
that's
true.
what I'm saying.
And I don't disagree with that. I guess I just, really the whole point of bringing it up and talking about it is just thinking about the influence that all forms of entertainment have on our society at large. And like,
I'm glad you did. I think this has been interesting.
I think it's more important than ever that people realize that, like, how much of our society has been shaped and, changed because of entertainment. And that's true forever, for as long as entertainment's been around, hundreds of years. Different plays or songs or whatever had influence on societies at times. So, like, it's always been a thing. But being able to be aware, of whatever entertainment is and how it affects people, I think is important to get a grasp on, I guess. Is really what I'm trying to convey. And so I think that I don't know. I think that people don't have a grasp on it. And I think that's why people are so susceptible to be manipulated these days.
I can agree with a lot of what you're saying. I think what I would say would convey your message better is not to have a blanket statement by saying, like, people and this and that. But, like, your message is good, I think, and just saying be conscious of what you're being entertained by and be able to separate the fact from entertainment and reality. Yeah. I think that is good. Like, to kind of piggyback, I guess, and put myself in the old man, get off my lawn, is, because I could agree right now, rap's always kind of had this negative condensation around it.
I don't know. I'm with you.
Connotation.
I just like to think about negative condensation.
Yeah, it's building
negative
up.
Water.
It's getting a little dewy. A little tongue-tied there. But what I'm saying is now there's Lil Durk, who is one of the more modern successes. You might know him from songs like All My Life, All My Life. You heard that song?
Lil Durk. I know the name.
Anyways, King Von, who was also pretty well known in the quote-unquote rap game,
hip-hop world,
was killed a few years ago, and he was no stranger to nefarious acts and, all these kind of things. He was killed. Years later, now, Charlie Horse?
A little Charlie Horse action.
Those suck.
Ooh-wee.
Lil Durk is now, there's being reports that he revenged. Yeah. I'm having a tough last 10 minutes here.
We're putting it together.
Connotation. Avenged.
The Avengers.
Yes. He avenged King Von's death. Now he's made it. He's a millionaire, success story. But since, this, I feel like now more than ever, these rappers have this, like, image to uphold and actually follow through with. And so when they make it out, they're getting out and they're, getting involved in these murders. They just threw everything away. For what?
Right. To uphold the image that they felt like they needed to uphold.
I just don't understand. And I do personally think that's now more than ever. It's always gone on in rap.
Yeah.
But, I mean, you see it left and right these days, and I think that is becoming more of a lifestyle due to YouTube and all this other stuff.
Yeah.
And,
how people portray themselves out there online. They have to embody that persona.
And they don't want to be a studio gangster. And even if they were already living that life before, they've built their fandom and stuff off of rapping about this stuff, and they don't want to look like a pussy.
Yeah.
And so anyways,
pressured into
so now Lil Durk is facing life, dude. He has made it. He has made it out of what where he was in a position where he thought he had to do all that stuff. And at the time, maybe he didn't a lot of rights to survive. But he made it out of that. And one of his friends who died while he was still doing all the same stuff. And that's why he died. Now you throw your whole life away to just...
Yeah, for what? To be like, yeah, I did that. I don't
to bizarre. Get your friends back. Your friend's already gone, man.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe I just wanted to say, I
There's this. It's I don't know. It's a weird turn.
It's sad to me.
Yeah, yeah. There's been a weird turn where people that are just played up as characters is led to people being like, oh, this is the person I need to be. Like that's a real life, whatever way of being or whatever. I don't know. Just kind of losing touch with being people, I think, in a sense. I don't know. We're in weird times, my friend.
Yeah, I do agree with you. We're becoming these things that used to just be thoughts and beliefs, maybe even taboo to talk about out loud, are becoming people's entire personality.
Yeah.
And that is sad.
Yeah. Yeah. They're not open to other aspects of life or whatever. I'm not sure. It's odd. It's an odd thing to witness.
It's like people are so close-minded these days that they align with a certain thought or belief, and that becomes them, whether it be politics or whether it be a gang-banging lifestyle or this and that. Yeah. It's like,
or whether it be a corporate lifestyle, you're like, oh, I love my job. I'd work 80 hours a week if they need me to, and I put my money in the markets. I do everything right. Like even you're buying into a lifestyle, those people, they're playing a persona. They're, I need to be this person to be whatever on the right path.
I think people trick their brains so much into believing that they don't actually ever take the time to step back and ask themselves, am I enjoying this?
Right.
Is this positive? Is this healthy for me?
Yeah, that's big time.
Like how many people are actually doing things on a day-to-day basis that they enjoy, that they're thriving in, that they love doing?
I think it's a lot less people that would admit it. Like I think there's a lot more people that aren't thriving day to day, but they might not even know it because they haven't taken the time to take that self-evaluation. And two, they might just be like, they don't want to face it. So they have to lie right to themselves about who they are, what they are, and what they do, and what makes them who they are. They're like, well, if I'm not this, then what am I? You're nothing. And they don't want to face that. So,
well, you don't have to even say nothing.
Yeah, I'm just saying.
We're all something. We're the same.
Right, but I mean, like somebody that's spent maybe a lot of years trying to become whatever this thing that they think they should be is. And it's like, you can be so much more than just that one thing, but they chose to be that one thing.
Yeah.
Facing the fact that they are more than just that one thing could be hard for them.
Be open-minded, dude. Like,
yeah,
I agree. Don't tie yourself down to such a thought or opinion, which is hard. It's like I'm saying that, but I struggle with it. We all do, human
Big
nature.
time.
But just try to be conscious of it, and little by little, maybe you can. Maybe something will happen, and that'll snap in your brain and say, "Well, why am I going down this rabbit hole?
Yeah,
what am I tying myself to? What are the consequences if I choose not to? Probably not anything."
And I agree with that, and that is a worry and a concern of mine, is that people are less open-minded now than it seems like they have been in a while. And that's fearful. When you got people that aren't open-minded, it just creates all sorts of hostility, and we just don't need it.
No, but cynically again, dude, I just don't see. I have high hopes, low expectations for society. It's like, I was just talking the other day, and I was saying how we're just we just want to label everything. Oh, that person's stupid because they did something dumb. More than likely, that person, people do dumb shit all the time.
Yeah,
doesn't necessarily mean they're stupid.
Yeah, or somebody thinks that somebody's dumb just because they don't understand what that person is doing or saying. Because they don't understand something, they automatically think that person is dumb. Like, just this very, small example. I'm at the McDonald's drive-thru line. I pull up to the speaker. The first thing the person in the speaker says is, "Mobile app?" I'm like, what? I just say, what? And they say, are you using a mobile app today? I said, oh, no. It's like, imagine if you're a not English speaker and somebody comes up and you say, mobile app? And they're looking at you like you got 5 heads. They're like, I have no idea what it said. And they're like, what? And then as that go away, the person that says mobile app is like, that idiot had no idea I was talking about a mobile app. It's like, yeah, because you didn't say it. So that person just, thinks the other person doesn't understand them is dumb because they didn't understand them. But in reality, it's like they're just poor communicators. So how often do you think people are just poor communicators and assume the person that they're talking to is just dumb because they don't understand what they're saying or whatever? Well, yeah, I think a lot of people are just very poor communicators.
Or like just have a hard, if somebody cuts you off in traffic while it's frustrating and it could be stressful at the time, you had to avoid this and you'd be like, that person's a fucking idiot. Maybe for whatever reason, things that have lined in their life and they're just not paying attention. Maybe they're thinking about something stressful is happening at home. You don't really know. Like they're just not paying attention. Now, yeah, you should be paying attention when you're behind the vehicle. But there's like little things like that. Like somebody doing something, and you just try to paint a whole picture because people just want to have this concrete thing to say. Yeah. This person's dumb. Or somebody might do something smart. That person's a genius. Like, it's crazy. We have all these just, hyperbolic stances on things.
Humans love categorizing things. We love putting things into categories. We love organizing things. We love patterns.
Tiering them, ranking. I mean, that's a huge trend, has been for years now.
Oh, yeah.
Let's tier fast foods, and everybody will have different opinions in the comments, and then, it's going to make people want to do more and more tier lists because it gets engagement, and that's going to get in the algorithms and all this shit. But it's like, some people like things.
Some people don't like things.
Yeah. And that's what it boils down to.
Bowls. Shrimp.
And that's why I don't like, we listen to the show every day, TMA, and Jackson gets on there, and he does his little shtick about hockey, but then he's starting to become this villain himself where he just takes such shots at all these hockey fans. He knows what he's doing. It's like, I just think it's an asshole thing to do.
Disingenuous.
Because you don't like something or you don't understand the appeal of it doesn't make you greater than anybody else. It's just narcissistic behavior to think because you like something or don't like something that other people like makes them dumb or wrong for liking it.
Yeah. And I'll say that now. I'll put that out there. I don't think anybody that likes wrestling is dumb. It's not for me.
That is not the picture you painted, brother.
Well, look, I get that's maybe not what it sounded like, but I'm just making sure that it's known. I don't think that all wrestling fans are dumb. I think there are dumb wrestling fans, but I don't think all wrestling fans are dumb. And I don't think that you're dumb for liking it. I just don't think it's for me. And I also said I just was curious to bring the subject on its influence in modern culture. That was really the whole point of bringing that conversation up.
It was a good conversation.
Yeah, I agree. Like I said, I just wanted to make it known that I don't assume that you're dumb just because you like wrestling.
I feel like the conversation would have been boring if we both had the same thought on it.
Yeah.
It would have ended a lot sooner.
I agree. I don't think there's any... there's a very small list maybe of things that somebody could say that, yeah, I like this or I believe this, that I'd be like, yeah, all right, you're dumb. But it's a small list. Most things I'm willing to. I don't know. I'd have to.
You gotta say it now.
Well, I don't know. I'm just leaving room for error. I always try to leave a little bit of wiggle room for error because I'm sure there's an example that somebody could bring to me and I'd be like, yeah, that's dumb if you like that. Like if somebody, was whatever. I love fucking my brother.
Whoa,
then
Jesus.
I'd say you're probably dumb.
I've noticed that you often use a southern accent when you're depicting somebody as dumb. Well, I can assure you there are plenty of people that speak just like this.
That are also as dumb. I agree. I agree.
I also have a belief that
because
people
it's just an easier example to...
I think it's on a sliding scale. I think everything is on a sliding scale. When I think of a dumb person, it's the person that has that they have no ability or the inability to... one, be open-minded, or two, listen to somebody presenting an opposite view and willing to listen to it. Like that, to me, that's the sign of a dumb person. Do you believe you can become dumber or more intelligent based off decisions that you make? Like, for instance, I think being present-minded, you could, which is hard, especially with all the distractions we're having now, but being present-minded, you can pick up and perceive so many more things than if you're not present-minded,
yes.
Which can then allow you to start saying things that might be perceived as more intelligent because you're noticing things. And this, I believe that's why.
Yes,
I truly think
that.
This might be a hot take that people aren't as dumb and as smart as, in alternate universes, the same person with the same brain who perceived things differently and acted upon them differently could be a lot smarter of a person.
Yeah. Okay. Sure. I could buy that, but that doesn't explain the people that choose to live their life with being unperceptive or unopen and just bury their head in the sand.
Can I make another example?
Sure.
So you might think somebody going on social media for verification and all these people to click and like and all that stuff. We might think that's stupid, and you might even say that person's stupid. But maybe for whatever reason in their minds they have some issues that they're dealing with, which they don't feel attractive or loved, or they haven't made any strong connections in the real world. Validation. So they found this thing online. So they're doing all these things that we would see and be like, God, that's so stupid. Like, why are you doing this? But I don't know necessarily if that person is stupid. They're dealing with things that we don't understand and we don't know them.
Yeah, I think that's different than what I'm perceiving as if I'm making a judgment off, I think, if somebody's stupid or not.
Yeah, okay. I wasn't saying you weren't. I was just saying that was just my take on it.
No, I agree. I don't think that that's a defining thing on whether or not I'm deciding if somebody's stupid. I'm deciding if somebody's stupid based on, a conversation on, is everything, like you said before, is everything either really cool or really dumb to them? Like, are they willing to bend on what it is that they believe strongly about? Or are they willing to, or can they articulate a strong position one way or another? If not, then I have to wonder, is there anything below the surface? Or are you just regurgitating, stuff that you've been fed your whole life? Which would make somebody not, quote-unquote, intelligent because they're not coming up with their own thoughts and opinions. I think that's the basis of intelligence. You said it before. It's just like if you're more perceptive of the world around you and you're more in the moment, then you don't have there's no other option than just to become more intelligent because you're more aware of what's going on around you, and you could put those pieces together. So it's like, yeah, they go hand in hand. Intelligence has nothing to do with, classical knowledge. It has nothing to do with book smarts. It just has to do with emotional intelligence and spatial awareness, in my opinion. And there's a lot of people that have gotten much worse with that, it seems like, over the years.
I think we have aligned very similarly in this position. I think we have for years. We've talked about it, but not as much. The conversation just kind of led to this point. And
yeah.
That's why I was asking you. It's like intelligence more of a sliding scale. But I truly believe, I will say this, like the biggest advantage in life is trying your best to be present-minded and not getting too emotionally wrapped up or distracted by things. It's such a superpower, in my opinion.
And I think, I agree that it is. And I would say that, the way that our society has been headed for a lot of years has made it easier and easier for people to not be like that because, they're bought into whatever forms of entertainment it is that they're bought into, and they allow those forms of entertainment to just consume them completely. And so they're not, they're not being present with everything every day. They're just, they're buying into these whatever echo chambers, if you will. And that's the way that it's wanted by who? Advertisers. They want you to buy in completely to whatever it is you're watching so that, you'll believe their ads and then you'll go buy their shit.
It's mindless, too.
Yeah.
It's mindless dopamine searches.
Yes.
Scroll, click, whether it be, needing your point to get across, whether it be needing to eat to feel some kind of sensation, whether it need to be...
I need to buy this thing off of Temu because it told me if I buy one more thing, they're going to send me 2 things for free. I have to buy something. It only makes sense.
Yeah, we became addicted, and corporate America has done this, not done this to us, but has played into this.
What have they done to us?
Addictive personalities are just constant releases of these dopamine hits that you get, and you can become not present-minded because you're
searching.
But you're not conscious of what you're searching for. It's just like you need it, whether it be gambling, like some people just overeating and this and that, or maybe it's I need to have my thoughts liked and I need to have my thoughts agreed with, and some kind of people are addicted to validation and this and that. It all becomes so obsessive and compulsive, dude.
Yeah.
It's like crazy, man.
Yeah, and then people are so disengaged with their present atmosphere, right? You know, they get so consumed with all that they're 100% disassociated, right? I think that's the biggest problem that we see with a lot of people is they're just disassociated with the world around them. And that's not a good place to be. Once everybody's disassociated and nobody cares about the humans around them, then it's just anarchy. And, you know, everybody's up for snatch grabs at that point. It's a damn mess.
I try to practice that because, like any other human, I can become a victim of that. Especially, I think I would get so drawn into. I have a tendency when something starts making me angry, as you know, but I can get so locked in and fixated on that, like it pisses me off. You know, I maybe get that from my dad, but
shouts out.
But like earlier, like I've tried to practice now. Being aware of that, like before we were recording, I was talking to you about something that's getting me upset, and I was like, I need to reset. I'm just going to go downstairs. I think I even said that. I just kind of reset, get back to being focused, and not try to engage because I can get down, and I was feeling pretty down.
Yeah,
before that. Like right now, I'm not. I don't. Like I'm trying to be here, present in the moment. I'm completely dissociated. Yeah, that's right.
No, I agree
with that, but I don't know. I don't know what's even led to this line of thought.
We went down that rabbit hole. I don't know. We were talking about TikTok earlier. And then
wrestling.
That was all that wrestling brought us here. Thanks, Vic.
Now we can say objectively the sign of attractiveness is symmetry, right?
Yeah,
Now, what the hell was Vince McMahon's mustache at the end? I mean, we could say that's objective. We say that things are usually not black and white. We can all say that mustache was crooked, hideous. He looked like an evil villain.
He did. He looked like Walt Disney on a bad day, dude. I was like, what is happening to this guy?
Vince, to one of the things you're saying where you can kind of become, I think Vince kind of was consumed with his own creation. And he became that.
Yeah. I think we might have talked about this kind of before, but it's like you see that a lot with celebrityism and famous people. Like, was Britney Spears the person that she is today before she was like Britney Spears? No, she became the person she is today because of the persona that she was trying to, or was told and taught how she needed to act to the public, and that's just who she became, and that's crazy. Like these people have no idea who they are internally. They just are who they were told to be for so many years that's just who they became, right? You lie so much you believe yourself. It's a real thing. Like that has happened, and you can see it happening. And so I think, Vince McMahon was like a product of that.
Which why I think is, to your point, on why like the people that are beloved in today's society, kind of widely beloved, are people who kind of achieve this level of success or fame and remain humble and down to earth. Like those people are usually really beloved, but I think it's because of how hard that is to do. It's really hard to achieve levels of success and not starting to like the smell of your own shit.
Yeah, or get just whatever brought into different circles and bubbles than what you were before, and that's going to influence you to act and be different than what you were before. So I agree. Yeah, I mean it is really difficult to hold on to who you were before, but I guess there's a difference between holding on to who you are and who you have been, and then like getting lost in something that is made up. Like I think a lot of people get lost in stuff that they originally go into knowing is made up, but then have to either buy in so hard to sell it as real or whatever. They start to pick that up as their, well, this is what everybody thinks I am, so I guess that's what I am. If that's what people think I am, then that's what I am. It kind of just sets in over time with some of these people. It kind of feels like.
If you weren't, then why would you say you were?
Exactly.
In the paper and the news every day.
I don't know. It's just the way I am. You see Eminem and Kid Rock just
me out in the streets and I'm eating the feet and my
shared
dog
olive
and
branches.
rock, speak to me. Yeah, I didn't see that.
Eminem just brought Barack Obama out at a rally, and then Barack went on and did a little bit of the verse from "Lose Yourself," and the crowd went wild.
Palms are
It's like
sweaty.
I'm sitting here
Arms are heavy.
giving you the
Arms
rundown
are
of
heavy.
a TV show. It's like how ludicrous this sounds.
That's great for them.
I
I
love
think
that
Eminem
for
and
you.
Kid Rock are two people that are both very strongly tied to their own opinions.
Yeah.
You know what? I like Kid Rock's music too.
Oh, yikes.
He has some bangers, dude. And if you don't hear
Is it-
"Ba with the ba" and fucking feel that shit, dude, then
Yeah. There's some strong riffage to "Ba with the Ba," but the lyrics are just absolute trash.
who cares? It's a vibe, dude. It's a feeling. Ain't that what at the end of the day what music is?
Yeah,
bring
yeah.
a feeling out of somebody.
Yeah, there is. I'm torn.
I want to be a cowboy, baby.
Yeah,
That
that's
song's
nice.
hard too, dude.
Is it?
Yes.
Well, let's agree to disagree.
You're not telling me there's some kind of you don't ever just want to say
Like, I'd get-
my name is Kid.
Yeah, okay. That one of any of the songs I can get down with
Rock.
a little bit. That one is of it because it's like OG Kid Rock. That it has those strong riffs in it. It's a good song in that regard. But after that, he started ripping off Metallica. He started ripping off fucking Leonard Skinner and all this action. I'm just not into it. It's not for me. Not for me.
Well, it's just 1989. His thoughts were short, his hair was long.
Yeah, that's nice.
What about I put your picture away. Sat down and I wonder where you've been.
No, that's fine. That song is okay. It's fine. It's fine.
Some good songs.
It's fine.
It's got a smile on my face thinking about them.
Okay. That's
I'm not
nice.
saying Kid Rock's not a ridiculous person. I mean, he is, but he made some songs I enjoy.
Yeah.
But I am one of them there wrestling fans. Kid Rock grew up with a lot of money, though, to tell you the truth.
Yeah.
He played this trailer park persona. He's not that.
It's true. Good job. He tries to talk to M like they came from the same place. That's not true. They didn't come from the same place.
Kind of.
I don't know.
Detroit.
Geographically speaking.
Motor
Yes.
City.
But Kid Rock
Detroit is
owns
having
a bar
a-
in Nashville.
Resurgence, which gives me hope for our city.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, they had some large businesses with big money move into Detroit,
What?
and that helps.
What?
Yeah.
I'm trying to get you on board, dude.
What?
I said, dude, that was entertainment.
It was entertainment. It is also currently entertainment.
I want everybody to message in your thoughts on wrestling.
And its role in current society.
If you
How big of an impact do you think it's had on how people perceive things today? Yeah.
Yeah.
I felt like there was a nice little somewhere in there. I had a hypothetical, a good little quandary I was going to pose to you, but I felt like I can't remember it right now.
I like quandaries.
Yeah. Well, this is what happens when we don't have any good show
we
prep
had
meetings.
a lot of there's some good riff in there.
Oh yeah, I'm not saying that's the case.
We don't necessarily have to go. I mean, we got pretty jam-packed conversation there.
Yeah, I feel good about where we're at for sure. I just had, like I said, it's just on the tip of my tongue that I knew that there was one I was going to ask you, but I done plumb forgot because I didn't write it down like a jamoke. And so that's just going to have to be
idiot.
something
You are dumb.
that I going to have to live with. I've known that I'm dumb. Look, my dad's told me from a young age.
I was calling back to what I was saying earlier.
No, it's okay.
Your dad.
Why would you do that, Bob? Are you just dumb? Yes.
Should we turn this last little part of this segment into a Rob therapy session?
That's what every day is, a little bit, brother. just seeking that validation. I just need him to tell me he loves me.
And that's why you didn't watch wrestling. Your dad thought wrestling was stupid. That's for stupid white trash, Bob. We're not stupid white trash, are we?
He wouldn't say that. He knows better than to say that.
What do you mean? What, are you going to beat his ass?
What? No, because he knows that maybe we are some, a little white trash.
Your dad thinks he's white trash?
You don't grow up on the South Side with no money and not have a little bit of white trash in you.
Does he think that, though?
No, maybe not. But you gotta be honest sometimes. You look in the mirror, you see the, pot, kettle, black.
KC shirt on. Fucking a pig smoking a joint, brother.
Yeah, there's signs.
Yeah, literally, there's a Pabst Blue Ribbon neon sign.
Here's your sign.
In the college bedroom.
Yeah. No, it is what it is. It's just me and Vince.
Oh, we love you, Jeff.
I just can always hope. He'll be on his deathbed. I'll say, son, I am proud of you. He said, that's all I needed.
That's pretty good, Vince, for somebody who fucking hated everything he ever created.
What?
That was a pretty good Vince impersonation.
Oh, yeah.
For somebody who hated everything that he ever created.
See, just strong words. You're putting all these sentences out there like they're things that I said. I don't hate wrestling. It's just not for me.
Well.
I said, sounds like you hate wrestling.
I'm going to go home and tell my wife, Darla, honey, don't listen to Robbie.
Yeah.
We can still root for our boys. Randy Orton, he's from St. Louis. Don't matter what they tell you. He ain't from no Chesterfield. He's from St. Louis. Randy Orton's a true American. The Viper. The Legend Killer.
That's okay. I don't know. It feels good, though. I can't think of this question, the quandary I was going to pose to you. So if I remember it, I'll write it down. We'll bring it to the table next time.
And we're going to read all your comments. And I want everybody to tell me how wrong I am about wrestling and my takes on it. Everybody,
I don't think that's what's going to happen. Let's be honest. Just come on over the top, jump off the turnbuckle, and give me the fucking headshots.
There's no headshots, dude. You're the one who has all these weird sexual phrases, dude. It's called a 5-star frog splash, brother. It was done by 2 people.
Sexual
that was Eddie
phrases.
Guerrero, and if you know it, say it with me. RVD.
No.
Come on, man. Now, are you right now feeling a little bit of what do they call it?
The heat?
FOMO?
No.
But like past tense FOMO.
No, not at all, brother.
All the times we could have had.
No, I spent that time productively as a kid.
Doing what?
Learning drums, brother. I played a lot of music as a kid.
There's probably some drummers, wrestling fans, Venn diagram.
Overlap. You're right. They live in Jefferson County also.
Now, your takes on, well, let me tell you this. The WWE, and this is not a shot. This is just me trying to make my point to Rob here. You're trying to paint this picture as the average wrestling fan. Let me tell you, the wrestling ticket was not cheap.
He said they were staying on the thing. Well, maybe not nowadays, but at a point, wrestling it was like $20 a ticket. In the early 90s.
Pay-per-views, merchandise, all that stuff.
Yeah, it definitely became just like all the other sports and entertainment in the last 20, 25 years, where they've really milked it for all that they can. I say that. I agree there. I'm talking of like that, OG fan bases, big Jefferson County overlap. And there's people in Jefferson County that got, I guess, enough money to spend on these things. Their entertainment budget is going for wrestling.
And,
and then that overdue car payment's just going to sit there.
No, that's a shot.
Was it? Wait, that was a shot?
We're going to have to wrap this episode up because we're going to talk.
We could go in the loop forever. I don't want.
Let them have it. Let them have it, guys.
It's all right.
Unleash the dog.
Bring all that Jefferson County hate. Bring all that Jefferson County hate. All of them know.
Nobody from Jefferson County.
They kind of hate me. They're going to all hate me.
There's one, but he wasn't from Jefferson County at the time.
I'm not even counting him as he's not standard Jefferson County. He's different than Jefferson County. He's different than my standard Jefferson County folk.
He's rolling his eyes, Brendan.
No.
He's rolling his eyes, dude. Get his ass. He's rolling his eyes, brother. Hey, everybody.
He's different.
Uh-oh.
He's just more South City.
Next episode, we're going to dive into your hatred for Brendan Butler and where that all started.
Might as well. Let's just turn into it. I'm just going to heal this bitch.
We'll go tune in the next Sit, Talk, and Listen. Thank you, guys. Love you.